Britain risks being isolated and marginalised from Europe after David Cameron's decision to veto a new European pact. And that's just the view of his coalition partner, Liberal Democrats leader Nick Clegg. The British Prime Minister blocked the Euro-wide treaty because he couldn't get guarantees to protect London from more financial rules. The Eurosceptics in the Conservative Party welcomed David Cameron's actions, but his continental neighbours have reacted with a mix of fury and bemusement. Philip Williams reports.
When David Cameron arrived in Brussels to do business or battle with all the rest, he had his Eurosceptic backbenchers still ringing in his ear.
Will the Prime Minister do Britain proud on Friday and show some bulldog spirit in Brussels?
This EU summit is a defining moment. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Will the Prime Minister seize the moment?
And seize it he did, by vetoing an EU-wide action plan that included a financial transaction tax that would have hit British banking hard. He drew a line as wide as the English Channel. Despite pleas from his European counterparts to put national interest aside, the man was not for turning.
I think it's right for Britain to say, well, which bits of Europe most benefit us as a nation, and to focus on those things. And I'm not frightened of the fact that sometimes you might not be included in something. Are we better off outside the euro? You bet we are.
In the Brussels family photo, David Cameron looks something of the unwelcome cousin, now deliberately outside this new tent of 26 European nations, with just one missing, Britain.
David Cameron asked for something that we thought was unacceptable, to exempt the UK from some regulations on financial services. We think a large part of the problem comes from the deregulation of financial services.
David Cameron was at the negotiating table with us, and we made this decision. What we couldn't do was make a lousy compromise for the euro. We had to set up hard rules.
Now looking every bit the Billy No-Mates of Europe, David Cameron stuck to his Eurosceptic guns and presented himself as a rebel very much with the cause.
You're obviously in a room with 26 other people who are saying, put aside your national interest, go along with the crowd, do what will make life easy and comfortable for you there in that room. But you say no. It's important that we get the things that Britain needs, and so I decided not to sign that treaty.
On return to the UK, he hosted a dinner at his country retreat Chequers with selected Conservative MPs, who were told greeted him like a conquering hero. But his deputy and coalition partner, Nick Clegg, certainly wasn't invited, and for good reason.
Bitterly disappointed by the outcome of last week's summit, precisely because I think there is now a real danger that over time the United Kingdom will be isolated and marginalised within the European Union.
We're all going to have... I'm afraid I did once.
They may look and sound alike, but the political pedigrees of the Prime Minister and his Liberal Democrat coalition partner Nick Clegg are written on very different paper. The split on Europe, the most serious crack yet in the coalition wall.
I hear this talk about the bulldog spirit. There's nothing bulldog about Britain hovering somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, not standing tall in Europe, not being taken seriously in Washington.
Britain really does have a dilemma on its hands because, while, yes, technically they're still members of the European Union, being outside this new grouping means they're not at the table when really important decisions are being made. And there's another problem, a perception in Europe that Britain played a spoiler role and that in Europe's hour of need, they walked away.
In Paris, the Le Monde headline reads, Europe of 27, it is finished.
They haven't wanted to be in the European Union for a long time now. They were never fully part of it. So if they leave, they're closer to the Americans than Europeans.
In Rome, La Repubblica headlines, Europe, the pact without London.
Of course the euro can be saved. If the UK believe it can live without us, we can live without them. They never wanted to be part of the European community. They're not as European as us Italians.
David Cameron says he simply put Britain first and rejected changes that would have damaged the economy. But by using his veto, he has put serious miles between an island and a continent at a time of crisis.
I agree with Nick Clegg, this is a bad deal for Britain, because we're now going to have 26 countries going ahead without us in the room, us excluded from key economic decisions, and frankly, David Cameron has mishandled these negotiations very badly.
David Cameron. Brits divided and they are outside.
But for all the angst about who's in and who's out of the new grouping, what really matters is, will it work? Because while the proposed tight oversight of debt and spending may build confidence for the future, it doesn't fill the here and now black holes.
Unless they actually deal with the problems of imbalances and economic growth, it's hard to imagine that this debt crisis will ever get better, or that investors will see the prospects of solvency in sovereign governments as improving.
If this latest Euro rescue fails, then it's possible Britain will look back with a smug sense of relief. But what is certain is the decision not to join has created deep divisions within the coalition and beyond. And the relationship with the rest of Europe may have changed in ways no one can yet predict.
Philip Williams reporting from London.